I can hear you. I can hear you perfect. I can check 1 2, check 1 2, bop. I love this. I love going live and doing things about that are recognized in the Bible, man, like the Sabbath. This is so cool. And then there's just a couple of people that click right in, and it's like 10 o'clock, man. Those are my people. They just boom, they start jumping right in. And they know I've already done a study guide. I've already put the facts on paper in black and white, and then y'all can read right along with me because I don't want you to think I'm over here just bumbling and telling you some story. I'd rather read it to you where there are facts involved and or scripture and facts involved with that. So just know that I really do appreciate all of the help that I get and questions that I get. And one of the biggest questions is, when is the Sabbath? When are we supposed to celebrate? When's the holy day? And with Easter coming up and with the Passover coming up, and that being on the 14th day of the first month, I want y'all to realize that how the calendar has been sort of changed, when it was changed, how it was changed, and when the Sabbath day got changed. And it was all done in the 3rd and 4th century by Constantine and the Romans. So they ended up, he was the one that did the endowment to the Pope and the endowment of Constantine. And that's how the church started running everything. And then later on, they just changed the whole calendar around and they presented their Apocrypha version of the Bible. So this is going to be a great lesson. And if you haven't downloaded the study guide, I got my Linktree capabilities back. So that's all I want to say. I'm going to put some things up there to show my Linktrees, but let me see. Where are my effects? My effects are right there. These are my favorite ones. Touch those. If you haven't seen it, it's that right there. It's on my Linktree. And I put all of this together, this information together. If you haven't printed it out, it's going to include the calendar and all that. That is the Jubilees calendar. But it's on my Linktree right there. And it's right there. So if you go to my bio page, which is right there, and then that's my bio page right there. And then that's the button that you would click. And then look right there. That, I think it's right there. The Sabbath is Saturday. You click on that right there, and the first thing that's going to pop up is Bango to Wango, and you can print that right out. And it's a nice, like 5 pages, but we're going to go through exactly who changed the Sabbath, when they changed it, when Constantine, the early Christian practices, when he got out of the grave and all that, because I think it's very important. And it's not that we need hundreds of thousands of people following and commenting and off the page. We need just a couple of people on the same page right now. And that's how we're going to spread this. You know, Jesus Christ didn't walk up to Jerusalem and start preaching, or his disciples would start preaching, and everybody just went, yeah, man, we're changing the world. It was just a small group of people, man, and it ended up growing. And that's what we're trying to build today, is just a small group of people, like right now. Arkansas Gigi, thank you so much for being in here, my moderators that help keep this. I was going to try to go into a couple of different formats today, but I just love the way we keep pace with this. I allow the green screen, and it puts the lesson up so that we can talk about it. And as we go through the lesson, it'll allow me to screen record that, and then I can play it on my other formats and chop out all the baloney. And I really do want this to be very clear what the biblical Sabbath is and what the Sabbath day was changed. So Gigi, my Gigi, I'm going to try to pay attention to the comments because I want to answer comments in here, and your questions are very important. And in the 4 or 5 pages that are this document, you can see we're going to step right through, and it's going to have when they changed it, who changed it, what year they changed it, what councils made that official. And we're just going to step right through how they changed the 10 Commandments and how they went from the 7th day to the venerable day of the Lord. And all of these things, I find it real that they've not been hidden and they've not been denied. So this is all something that the church doesn't deny that they didn't change. And I called this episode The Drop because I just thought hey, Randy, how you doing? I call it The Drop because we're going to drop some truth. And again, none of this has been denied by the church. None of this has been, hey, that's not true. They literally had a date. They all changed it. It's written down in history, 325, whatever it was. It was 321, they changed it by Constantine, Sunday's law, and he changed it to the venerable day of sun. That just happened, man. It's not a, hey, man, you're just making this crap up. No, you go back into 321, into the Roman codexes, where they recorded the laws that were changed, and Constantine changed it in 321. And we're going to read that together. It's right, if you touch it right there. Constantine changed it in 321. And we're going to read that together. It's right, if you touch it right there, 321, Constantine. This is not, this is me. This is all us. This is me. This is all us. Appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that they let me have a link tree, and we had to get 1,000 follows. We did that last night. I had 203 followers last night, and that was amazing. And it allowed me to put my link tree back up. So again, all of this is where you can print it right out, and all of my other formats have my link tree on it. So once they go watch it somewhere else, even in the long form or whatever, you can always download this. If you just literally go to my bio page right there, click on that where it says the trumpet, and then click on that link tree right there, and then that pops up. And those are the other things, and there's that study guide, and it will be hamburger pizza. That'll pop up. And then you can print it. Remember, if you're just printing one of these off for the first time, and God, all last year we put one off, and there was hundreds of them have been printed, and thousands of it have been downloaded. And when you download it, it's the top 3 buttons in the top corner, and it says view in browser, and then you can copy it and download it and print it and all of that stuff. A lot of people say, I can't open it, and you just have to literally click that little 3 buttons in the top corner when you get to the document and hit open in browser. And then you can do whatever you want to with it and copy it. You can put your name on it, and then you can do a study guide with it yourself, and you can teach a class on it. Because I like putting facts with things, and it just literally, this whole thing is just full of facts of when this is. This is the calendar that I put together with the first month, and this is based off of the Book of Jubilees. So this is just part of it, and it's going to be on page 1. This is actually what I wanted to talk about. What if the true Sabbath, where we rest, that's right, when our work is. This is exactly going to identify that, Stiegel. And thank you for asking that question. It's been asked before. And that says, man, that they wanted them to work. They wanted them to work on this day. Like right here on the study guide, I'll show you. It's the 3rd page. It said, hold on, step 3. No, it's this one. I said, don't you start with me. Step 3. Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but they must work on that day and honor the Lord's day, Sunday. They literally wanted them to work on the Sabbath, which would be breaking the law. And that's way down here. And that literally has a date when the church, wanted you to do that date right there. Anno Dominus right there, Anno Dominus, in the year of our Lord. It does not mean after death. It does mean BC means before Christ, and then in the year of our Lord is Anno Dominus or something fancy like that. It's not after death. Because then everything would start at 34 AD. He died and resurrected in 33 AD. La titita. Arkansas GG standing in the Gap Ministry. Go to his bio, and the link tree and the PDF is available. I love that. I will read that comment out, and because we put a lot of work into these things, and it's the drop we're going to just drop some information. It is the biblical Sabbath. And all of this information is right there. It's got that first page, and we're going to see this because we're coming up to that date right there. It's April. The first month is April. That's in spring. And it is right there on my bio page. Clicking this one, the bio page, it goes to here, and then click that. Ow. Link tree. And any other format that you're on that you're watching this, it'll be in my links. And then that's going to pop up is exactly what's going to pop up. And you want to click this one, pow. And that immediately will download all of this. That page, that page, that page, that page, and these ones. Now, this is the ones that I've written on. And so it's, I wrote on those. That's what pops up. And then it's all in nice and color and looks great when you do it like that. See, that hasn't been marked on, and that's what you're printing. Remember when you do this way, click on the top 3 buttons and hit open in browser, and then you can literally do whatever you want to with it. I really do want you to copy, edit, paste, put this, study with it, go take it and teach other people with it, because these are all the facts and the laws and the scriptures that say, hey, you changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, and we know it. And they know it. And I'm not preaching against them or anything like that. I'm just like going, just know that that's the first day of the week. Sunday, when you walk into the church and go, hey, man, we're all celebrating the first day of the week, because that's actually what they did. A lot of the people, many believers, you can see right here, we'll start on the first page, and it says many believers, go right here, you go, right here. After the resurrection, many believers still kept the Sabbath, but some also gathered on Sunday to commemorate the resurrection. Right there. Literally in the book of Acts. And they often cited, but it does not declare this as a new Sabbath. So they were like going, man, this is the day that he got out of the grave. This is the first day of the week. So Sunday was a cool thing too. That was cool. But Sabbath is the Sabbath is the Sabbath is the Saturday. Bang. And they just can't change it. So, I mean, if y'all are ready, have I been watching the comments good? Because I want to make sure I do this right, and I want to make sure I answer y'all's questions. I was told I turned my back on God because I cooked supper on the Sabbath. Ruby Tuesday, I love your restaurant, so you just keep cooking. And, those people that preach all that stuff, and then they actually turn around and, I call them the bacon-eating Jews. They say all these things, and they really don't practice half of none of the stuff, Not that me printing Bibles and making my own Bibles helps, but I almost feel like one of the Essenes, man, when those dudes were printing and making the scrolls, and they'd walk up to the priest and go, y'all don't read this, do you? No, you haven't read any of this. Well, I just wrote it and printed it and made it for you. And as I was reading it and walking up here, I realized that y'all don't read any of this crap, or you wouldn't be wearing that, and y'all wouldn't be standing here, and you wouldn't be doing that. And, well, here you go. Here's your scrolls. And it just lets you know there's power in putting your hands on it and manipulating it. So when I say take this, download it, and work with it, they had the Sabbath supper, did they not? Yeah, they had the Sabbath supper, and it's the Passover supper, and you're supposed to sacrifice a lamb, and on Passover, you're supposed to be eating while the ghost of death is out there killing the firstborn, which they did in Egypt, and they wanted that thing to pass over them, and that was on the 14th day of the first month. So that is exactly what we're to celebrate. It's the 14th day of the first month. And it's Passover. You want them to pass over you. It was when they came out of Egypt. And that was when King Tut, or whatever his name was, Pharaoh, he was like, oh, dude, man, they just killed my son, my firstborn son. And the firstborn of the animals and all of this, and the firstborn of everybody's thing went DOA. And it was a bad day. And they got it the next day and left. And a lot of people say they left in a hurry and they didn't have time for the bread to rise. They didn't leave in a hurry. They got up and said, we're taking a bunch of your crap, all your gold and this stuff right here, and we're leaving with that. You saw what happened. You know who the boss is. Y'all know what the deal is. So don't rush me, bro. I'm out of here when I'm out of here. And then the spirit of Mastema, we read that in the book of Jubilees. He was thwarted. The Pharaoh, and Pharaoh chased after him and died in the sea. Died in the sea when it went, came in right on top of him. But that's a story for another day. I want y'all to know that Jesus taught on the Sabbath, and I am going to teach on the Sabbath. He walked into the church in the temple and taught on the Sabbath, and I'm like going, I'm going to teach on the Sabbath, man. First off, let me teach you what the Sabbath is. I don't want anybody walking in on Sunday going, this is the Sabbath. Come on. No, it's not. It's Sunday is the first day of the week, and that's cool. That you do that. The first month is April. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. The first month, spring. That's when things, that's got a lot to do with the parable of the fig tree as well too. But the solar equinox, when the sun and the moon are perfectly lined and there's 12 hours in the day and 12 hours in the night, that's literally that day right there. And then the Sabbath is always going to be, it was created, the sun and the moon were created on the fourth day, which is that day right there. And then spring is when everything springs forth. And they changed it to April. That's a whole nother subject of when they changed the months. And we'll do that like next week of when they changed it, because I want you to know that when April comes up, that is the first day, that is the first month. And it's right here. You can see, I put it on there. If you can zoom into that map, 319, March 19th, March 20th, that's just solar equinox and all that stuff right there. So I didn't want you to think this is the book of Jubilees, man. This is hey, Greg, how'd you come up with that crap? I literally read the book of Jubilees and lay it out exactly the way that the Bible tells you to. On the fourth day is when this started and all, and you'll get there. And it's 364 days. And what people don't realize is 364 days. They go, but the year is 365 days. And you're like going, I know. Nobody ever added a zero in there. And that zero, right? You have to add day zero, the day that the sun was created. And I'm like going, and when the sun went down, that was the end of the first day. And that was the end of the first day of the calendar. It says on the fourth day they created the sun and the moon to keep up with the years and the months and all that stuff. So when the sun goes down, that's the end of the day. I did a chart at 6 p.m. When the sun goes down, the sun goes down. It's the end of the day. And it says right there in the very first chapter, have you always kept Sabbath? No. I have always been a roofer. And I worked on Saturday as hard as I could. I remember I lost as a wombat. And my brother, he's working his butt off right now. And a lot of people are working on the Saturday and all that. And it's not that they don't know. They don't know. I didn't know. I thought Sunday was the day. And that's what the other preacher told me. David was a little shepherd boy and go to church on Sunday and give the preacher some of your money. And they want your money before taxes. When that dude told me that, I was like, God, I'm out. Yes, we want your contribution made before tax deductions. Oh, really? That's the bigger number? Yeah. You better tell me something good. Tell me something good. Don't be standing there telling me Sunday's the first day of the week. Sunday is the first day of the week. Don't tell me that's the Sabbath. I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist, and you know what? They got like a whole religion, don't they? Got their own Bible and all that stuff. I'm not a name. People ask me what religion I am. I'm like going, I'm a Christian, man. I just want people to know that what the show was last night, what we were doing was the show that we were doing last night was, I don't care if you're Muslim or Islamic or Jewish or whatever you are. I was reading out of Isaiah. It tells you exactly when the dead people are going to walk through the streets and all of the crap to happen. You don't got to be a New Testament Christian to read the book of Isaiah and the book of Ezekiel to tell you exactly when the great day of tribulation. As a matter of fact, when Jesus walked in the book of Luke, I think it was chapter 18 or something, and he started reading in the temple on the Sabbath, and he read out of the book of Isaiah chapter 61, I think it was, 61. And he said, the hand of the Lord is upon me, and the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And he literally was reading right out of Isaiah. And you can't deny that. Said that he was going to open the prisons and lock them away and knew the terrible day of vengeance. And that's the day of, like, Passover, man. I mean, when the day the Lord died and then came back to life and then chained the devil away and all that stuff. And then also when the spirit of death went over Egypt and killed the firstborn. That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. Passover. You wanted that dude to pass right over you. And you can see it, man, whenever it says it in the scriptures. You read it in the scriptures and it starts telling you, you know, hey, the very first thing it says in the Bible, Genesis 1, and it says the evening and the morning were the first day. Okay, listen, that's when it starts. When the sun goes down, that's the end of the day. And the evening and the morning will be the first day. Literally, let me take my camera off. Take that off. This. At 6 p.m. when the sun goes down, that's the evening. And then when it starts coming back up, that's the morning. And at 6 p.m., that's the next day. That's the end of the day. So it is from the evening until the morning are the day. So, you know, this is a big difference here, how the sun goes down and the next day starts. So your calendar, instead of being that square thing that we see that starts at 12:01 midnight, that's not what happens. It's literally the calendar should start at 6 p.m. or when the sun goes down. And that's different for everybody. And the only thing that we did was we tried to standardize time. And by doing so, we're trying to all get everybody on a time and make it work perfect. And you can't do that because when the sun goes down in your particular day where you're at, that's the end of that day, bro. Ding dong, ding dong. That's the end of that day. And that is the beginning of the next day. Look at Genesis, the very first chapter of Genesis. And it says, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So you just need to know that like 7 p.m. all the way through to the next time the sun comes up, that's a whole day. That's when it starts. That's what it is. And the Sabbath started Friday evening at about 7 p.m. here on the East Coast for me. So before Friday at 7 p.m., I gathered all the stuff that I would eat and drink and have it, and I don't have to do anything for it today. I get to rest. But as the Lord taught on the Sabbath, I'm going to teach on the Sabbath. And if I ever teach on Sunday, it'll be me just teaching on the first day of the week. So thank you so much. And all of this I put into a study guide, and that's what I love so much about them allowing me my Linktree back up here with the 1,000 followers. I just got 1,000. I do. If you click on that, my bio page right there, it'll go to my bio. Click on that, and then it'll go to my bio page. And right underneath that, I had 730,000 followers until they paid me. And then click on this thing. It goes here. Pow. All of this stuff. Ding, 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 ding. Click on that button right there. Click this one, and then it does that right there. Remember to click on the little 3 buttons at the top and hit view in browser, and then all of this starts popping up. Boom. Boom. And then there's that calendar. That's the first month. And they were like going, when's the first month? You're like, oh, it starts right here. With solar equinox, when there's 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night, and there even only happens right there. And then it starts going. So, I mean, that's literally the Jubilee calendar. And we'll start right there because that's a great place to start. That's why I put it at the first of the day. We're on a Saturday. You can take that calendar and look exactly where we are on the calendar. I bet it is. No, I don't bet it is. What's the day? It's my brother's birthday. February 7th. I'll find it for you. Have no fear. Right there in the codex. I'll show you right now. Taking this off. This is the codex. This has got all the hidden books, the book of Jubilees, the book of Jasher, the book of Gad, the book of Enoch. It's got all that in here, and they're all divided. And in the back of it, it has the Jubilee calendar, like the book of Jubilee does. And if you look at February the 7th, that's right. Is it right there? Yeah. 2/7. Saturday. February the 7th is the 21st day of the 11th month. Winter. And then the 12th month is still winter. Deck. No, go down that road. I want y'all on Sabbath sundown Friday until sundown Saturday. You did it. You did it. You said it so much easier than I did. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Gigi. That coffee so good because it's cold. This is not the beginning of the year. No, it's spring. April 3rd is when Passover is going to be in the beginning, first week of like April. And that's when Passover is going to be, and that's when they're all going to celebrate it. And every Saturday thereunto is the Sabbath. Let's get right into that. Let's go and go to the bio page. We did this. Go to the bio page. Click on my link tree. Define. Click on that one right there. You go to the cover. We're going to talk about the Sabbath. It's going to go to page 1. This is where I've marked it up. Let's go. I'm going to do this right here. It's the biblical Sabbath is Saturday, and it was never changed by Scripture. Sunday observance developed gradually, and it became officially enforced in the 4th century AD, primarily through Roman civil law and the church councils, not through Jesus or the apostles. And I'm reading right along with this. The biblical starting point, unchanged in the Hebrew Bible, the Sabbath is the 7th day, which is clearly Saturday. Genesis tells you this, Exodus tells you this, and Jesus kept the Sabbath, which it tells you in the New Testament scriptures, and the apostles kept the Sabbath in the New Testament scriptures. There is no verse where God, Jesus, or the apostles declared Sunday the day of the Lord in place of the Sabbath, and that is right behind my head. So there's nowhere in the scripture does it say, hey, this is the new Sabbath, or this is a change in direction. And it was the first step in the process was the early Christian practices. And after the resurrection, many believers still kept the Sabbath. Some also gathered on Sunday to commemorate the resurrection, which is recorded in the book of Acts. And it's also cited, but it doesn't declare this as a new Sabbath. And at this stage, Saturday was the Sabbath, and Sunday was an optional day of gathering, not a replacement. There was no enforcement, no command, and no universal rule associated with that. Let me go. I'm going to click right on to the next page. Push button. Here's where Rome enters the picture. Right there. The first legal shift happens under Constantine the Great. In 321 AD, Anno Dominus, in the year of our Lord, Constantine's Sunday law, I'm reading right there, On the venerable day of the sun, let the magistrates and the people residing in the city rest. All right, that's Sunday. The key points. This was a Roman civil law right there. It honored the day of the sun, Desolis. It did not reference Jesus or the scriptures, and the farmers were exempt, showing it wasn't theological but administrative. This is all recorded in 321. You can go read any of this in the Roman codexes. This is all written in Roman law. Then the church reinforced it. The real theological break happens right here. In the Canon 29, Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day and honor the Lord's Day, Sunday. And you know what? You just told everybody, as a church, you just told everybody to work on the Sabbath, which is literally breaking the Ten Commandments. So, people doing what they're told and following the church leaders and all that stuff, that's fine. That's like military following their commander into battle and all that stuff. Dude, the Pope and them Constantine boys, they're going to get bad judgment on that one. They led a bunch of people astray with that. And I literally am just trying to point out the laws and the facts to just so that you know what the real truth is, and then you do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying this has to be, and you don't have to do anything, man. I just want you to know the truth, and then you literally can do whatever you want to do. Here is the church right here in this Canon 29, where it says that Christians must not Judaize. I'm going to start using that word. You must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day and honor the Lord's Day, Sunday. Okay, you're an idiot. People are, that's what they're preaching, they're standing up on the pulpit with the fisher's mitre, with the fair mitre. Read that out of the book of Ezekiel last night. Put a fair mitre upon his head, that Pope, that dude. And this council explicitly discouraged Sabbath observance. They elevated Sunday above Saturday, and they marked a formal separation from Jewish practice. There you go. That was the church. And upon that rock, he built that church. Understand that. That is America. Oh, you know what? My beard. I wore a black shirt. Thank you, Gigi. I wore a black shirt just so we could read the comments. But my beard, I can wipe them out with that beard. One thing. I'm having to put my head down here. America is Judaizing. You can say that again. Because this is something that if you had the political power enough to change the name of an ocean, you can fix the calendar if you go, hey, man, you know what? That's messed up. Well, no, I know the idiots that did it. It's written right here, and this is what they did. And all we got to do is fix that. Ready? All right. I'm not telling you to change the days. I'm just telling you that, hey, listen. But watch what they did. Watch what the church did, man. They just said this is where the biggest deception is. They changed the words in the book right here. They changed the Ten Commandments and the wording of the Ten Commandments right here at the bottom of the page, step 4. And if you haven't downloaded the study guide, again, just go to my bio page, and when you click on that right there, and then click on that link tree right there, and this pops up, and then right there. And I'm reading right out of the Bible that I make. And that's going to pop up. That's a study guide. And we're actually just read through a couple of these pages. And we're right around here somewhere, I think. Rome enters the picture. We're not there yet. Yeah. This is the day of the Lord. This is when Rome and the Roman Catholic Church changed the Ten Commandments from the day of Sabbath to the day of the Lord. And they wrote it different in their Bible, and it's called the day of the Lord. And in the old Hebrew Bibles, and what have you, it says the Sabbath day, honor the Sabbath. Yeah. All right, y'all want me to keep going? If y'all got any questions, good place to stop because, like I said, this is when they changed the day. It's not until the church started changing, the Ten Commandments. So I'll put this down with a Shabbat Shalom. That is not. Is that what they think they're going to name Charlie Kirk's book? Because it's is that the name of his book? Shabbat Shalom. Because I'm like going, them dudes didn't recognize a bunch of stuff, man. I got my black shirt on so I can see all your comments, and I'll answer some because right there in 321 is when Constantine changed the Sunday law. That's the whole basis of this thing. This is weird. I know this is weird. And this is not something that I'm trying to convince you. I'm just telling you, go Google it, whatever you want to, and go look up 321 Constantine Sunday law, and it'll say, on the venerable day of the sun, let the magistrates and the people reside in the cities and rest. It wasn't until the church turned around and wrote this one right here for that Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, and that they must work on the Sabbath. That's like telling everybody, hey man, do exactly what the Bible told you not to do. And that's the Pope told them to do that. So, and then they changed the 10 commandments. They changed the 10 commandments, just a little wording, took the word Sabbath out and said the day of the Lord. And those are all Catholic Bibles that say the day of the Lord. And that's so that you can do that on Sunday. And I'm like going, bro, man, it says right there at the end of the Bible, you shouldn't add or take away from the Sabbath and the day, the words of this book and all that stuff. But I mean, what am I? You're over there changing things, man. Y'all changed the calendar. All these dudes, they changed the calendar. All the crap, man. And hey, Jay Berg, what's going on, brother? Good to see you again. I was in your live earlier, man, and it was always good to see people. This study guide. Anybody that's out there, please download these things. My work, it's not copyrighted or any of that stuff, man. If I put it on here, it's so that you can download it and you yourself can use it in your own little work groups and study groups and tell people, hey, this is when they changed this, is what they changed. This is the year that they changed this. And I just don't even know how you can turn around and say, is the Savior's name Jesus or Yeshua or both? Yeshua is, I'm not so sure about the Yeshua. Jesus and Joshua are 6 in one and half dozen in the other. Joshua is all through the Bible. It does say in Zechariah that Jesus and the devil were standing before God, and it uses that name, and that's in the Old Testament. And then it says in John 19:19 very clearly that Pontius Pilate wrote the name Jesus of Nazareth in 3 different languages and nailed it on the cross above his head. That's John 19:19. I'm not sorry that I lost it. I'm not sorry that I lost 730,000 followers, because what I did gain was, there's 100 people in this room, and what I did gain was a truer, more concentrated follower that wanted to hear more of my word and came back and wanted to hear what I was saying, and they weren't just flash fires, and they didn't hear some little flash, and they wanted to come in. So good morning to you, Lisa. Good morning, everybody. We're right in the middle of this lesson and studying through when Rome and when Constantine changed the calendar and changed the venerable day of sun to be the Sabbath. And they changed the Sabbath. So good morning. Grand Risings. That is good morning, Arkansas. Gigi, one of the best moderators. Bless Michelle. How are you doing? Good to see you in here. The tires, but Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And it is the Sabbath, and that means hello. So I'm all good with it. I am not in any way Jewish. I am not a Catholic. I am not a Baptist. I am not anything with a name on it, man. I am a follower of Christ. But what I've enjoyed doing is pointing out in the Old Testament where they're talking about the New Testament. Because when you start arguing with Jewish people, and they go, that's in the New Testament, that is hog baloney. And you're like going, okay, well, then I'll read it to you out of the book of Isaiah and tell you the same story, where he talks about there is a new heaven and a new earth, and the first heaven and the first earth are passed away, and there is no more sea. That's the book of Revelation, and then I can read you the same daggum thing right out of the book of Isaiah. I did it last night, and I'm like going, there's a new earth and a new heaven. Okay. A boy's quoting Revelation just literally verbatim, man. And I don't know. It says that he's going to put in the book of Ezekiel where he raises the valley of dead bones and he puts skin upon them and they walk through this. That's that is Matthew 27:52. And the earth did quake and the rocks did rent and the graves were opened. And the bodies of many saints which slept arose and went into the city streets and were seen by many. Dude. That's exactly when you take a valley of dead bones, put skin on them, and walk them through the city streets of Jerusalem. That's in Ezekiel chapter 38. You'd go read it. So, read it in the New Testament, read it in the Old Testament. If you don't believe Isaiah and Ezekiel, then you need to take whatever religion you got and just go, I'm on my own, man. I don't listen to that. You can be Muslim, Buddhist, bing, dang, jabang, pow, whatever you want to be. If you read Isaiah and you read Ezekiel, it'll tell you when the dead people walk through the city streets. And I don't know, you can read through some of the other people that recorded history and find out when those things, when the city was leveled and all of that stuff. What verse? What verse? What verse for what thing? The Isaiah. You know what? I got it right here. Let me see. I'll get it. Let me put on my glasses. Because I got to look at these little pictures, that's why. I'll get it. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Ooh, that's Isaiah. That's 28. 28. That's where the foundation stone is talking about. That's literally, and that's where he's going to flood over the hiding place, which is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Hang on, that's right up here somewhere. This is the new heavens and the new earth. That's Isaiah. Shut it up. 65:17. For behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, for the former things are not. But that's Revelation 21, bro. Sure is. Play it, Revelation 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth will pass away. Okay, don't read it in the New Testament. Go read it over there in Isaiah 65. Shut up. Ezekiel tells us people walked through the streets and it was just their bones. No, it says they put skin upon their bones and all that stuff, man. And they put the skin upon their bones and they walked through the city streets. I got that too. Yeah, well. I don't want to get too far off subject. And mail. At the year's end. And I will go into the land without the wall and upon the people that are gathered together. Hang on, I'll find this right here. On the land. Take their spoils. It says somewhere right up in here. Ezekiel. Y'all got me trying to read last night's lesson. It's got me, but it's where it talks about putting those bones upon and their sinews and their skin, and then they go into the streets. That's Matthew 27:52, just literally in the book of Ezekiel. 37 and 38, yes, right there in there, I think. That is. Come on, y'all stay on topic. This is the Sabbath. Scoot, scoot. This is the Sabbath. And if you haven't yet, and you want this study guide right here about the biblical Sabbath, we're halfway through reading it, and it is, hold it. If you go to my bio page and click on that button right there, the trumpet, and then click on this one, the link tree, that pops up. And it's that one right there. Bap! You click on this one. And then all of this is going to pop up for free. This is going to pop up. Click those top 3 buttons right there in the top of the screen and hit view in browser, and then you can do whatever you want to with it, because then it's going to download this beautiful copy of it, and you can move the pictures around, and you can write your name on it right there, and you can teach your own Sunday school class lesson. I could care less. This is to teach the word with facts. So all of the scriptures and all that are put together, we already read through the first page, and this is what you can download, and it's not marked up. And me personally, what I did, where this one's marked up, not marked up, I take pictures of my stuff and show you, and I mark mine up. So just know there's a clean copy right there. And I'm happy you found my new account too, and I'm so glad that I just have a few people, because I had too many people. And just like when Gideon went to go fight the Midianites, man, he's like going, hey, man, we got to fight these people. He's like going, you need to get down to a couple of people. So I really only need like the 119 people in this room to realize that Rome changed Saturday from the Sabbath. They changed it to Sunday, and that's literally, they did that in 321 AD, Constantine's Sunday law. And I just need this 114 people that are in the room right now. I need them on that same page, because they'll go tell people and go, hey, you know, that's not on Sunday. You know, it's right here. When they changed it, 321, and it says that on the venerable day of the sun, I always like that word, venerable, on the venerable day of the sun, let the magistrates and the people residing in the cities rest. But it wasn't until 363 when the church jumped on board and said, let's scrub this up. And Christians right here must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day and honor the Lord's day, right there. Christians must work on that day. That is Canon 29 and 363. All I want you to do is go look this stuff up and go, they really did change it. They changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, and the Romans did in the 4th century, which is, when you say the 4th century, all the things that start with a 3, like 301 through 399, whatever, those are all the things that happened in the 4th century. So if it starts with a 3, it happened in the 4th century. Just whatever. Those are all things that are coming up to 4. That's how you know to put day 0 in there, because you're coming up to 1. Love it. Hey, let's leave where they change. I have been researching this for 2 weeks, and you answered my question in 10 minutes. What'd I answer? In 10 minutes. I hate it when it's a long sentence, because my big finger, see how big that is? It touches everything over there. That little triangle down there is inconceivable for me to even touch. I can't ever read the second part of the sentence in the comments. Keep up short. I touch it and it keeps going to, do you want to make them a moderator or something like that? I did it one time and invited somebody like on the chat, on the live. And I was like, oh my gosh. Come on, y'all want to read where they thought, should we keep the Sabbath? Yes. The very first thing it says in the beginning of the book of Genesis is that God kept the Sabbath and rested on the 7th day, and you should too. And you should all rest and rest in him and learn. And today is the Sabbath, and you should keep the Sabbath, and you should rest in him. And you should go out the day before the Sabbath and gather enough stuff so that you don't have to work to cook or start a fire or do any of the things you taken care of, so that you thought enough about it all week long to gather your crap on Friday so that Saturday, the Sabbath, you're well taken care of and you can rest your mind and rest in him. And then you can turn on your phone and you can learn something. And I don't want you to learn something from some preacher standing in front of you on Sunday going, I'm up here to see how much time we can pass this, whatever. I'm up here so that you'll learn what day is the Sabbath, because it's very important that we honor the Sabbath as the Lord did. It's the seventh day. If you want to go to church on Sunday, that is super cool. That's the day that the first day when they saw Jesus after he resurrected, and a lot of people did that after the resurrection. It says that right on that page. It says right after the resurrection that many believers still kept the Sabbath, but some also gathered on Sunday to commemorate the resurrection, because that's literally when he came out of the grave, and that's when they first saw him. That's when Mary and all them went and told the apostles, like, "Oh, dude is up, he is risen." And that is, one of the things I want to point out is that the first person that an angel spoke to was a woman, and said, "Go tell the boys that they should have been here. Go tell them where they at. Over there with Doubting Thomas." And Peter's probably already jerked off his fisherman's coat and went back to fishing. "A fishing I will go." Bow. This is why I love Bible study. You dissect it for us, and the truth comes out. This is, you know what? If the Romans did it, and they've recorded it. And all you got to do is go back in history and see what they did and go, why did you do that? And they'll tell you, you can just find out when they changed things. You're like going, oh, okay, well, y'all are a band of idiots. Everything y'all did was for the bad. And so let's just see all the things you changed. Oh, okay, you changed Saturday to Sunday. That must be the real Sabbath. It is. And they changed it, 321. So all you got to do is read the study guide, go download it, print out the drop. You get the drop. And then page 1, page 2. In 321, Constantine, when you give yourself the title Constantine the Great, nobody's going to call you that. And he went and opened up the city called Constantinople. Hey, Banjo, what are you doing? You want to come up here and teach them? Thank you so much, Randy. I certainly appreciate that. Y'all do tap the screen. I certainly appreciate it. We get new milestones. I just got my PDF where I could put my link trees up there. So now y'all can all study along and go over the study guide with me. I'm going to continue on and how we've got where the Roman church changed the Ten Commandments. And you're like, no, they didn't. Literally right here. This is the fourth thing that they did. They changed the Sabbath day to the day of our Lord. And I'm going to read that, but right here. In Scripture, the day of the Lord refers to judgment, resurrection, and the return of Christ. Isaiah, Joel, Amos, and in the book of Revelation. In Revelation 1:10, John says, in the Spirit on the Lord's day. It does not name Sunday. The equation Lord's Day equals Sunday is a later church interpretation and is not a biblical definition. Go to the next page. The church officially altered the Ten Commandments, how the Ten Commandments were numbered, summarized, and taught. And if that's shocking to you, let me say that again so that you can know that that's the truth, and you can go look up this, Google any of these facts. The church officially altered how the Ten Commandments were numbered, summarized, and taught. You can go to the church and get a loan on that one right there. The Roman Catholic Church did that. And then everybody else that called themselves a church followed their lines, pretty much. Including redefining the Sabbath command between the late 4th century and the Middle Ages. For formal universal codification completed with the Council of Trent in the 16th century. That's when the change became official, authoritative, and global. The very first step in this process is in Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5, the 4th commandment. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The 7th day is the Sabbath day of the Lord thy God. It's very clear, it's very explicit that the 7th day is Saturday, and it's written by God's finger in the book of Exodus. That's just a fact. The thing that the church did in the early church teachings right here, what about the altercation of baptism? I'll get to that, but I want to stay on subject with the Sabbath day and them changing that. So I've got a study guide printed out with that, and I have a whole nother thing that I could print out on baptism, but it's a great question. But let's start right back here with the church and where they started changing the words and how they changed the structure of the Sabbath day recognition. As Sunday observance spread, the church faced a problem. How do you teach Sunday sacredness when the commandment explicitly says the 7th day? What changed first? The wording used in the teaching, the numbering system, and the focus shifted from day to the church authority, right here. The system traditionally attributed to Augustine of Hippo in the 4th and 5th century, who merged the 2 first commandments, split the last commandment into 2, and shortened the Sabbath commandment to remember to keep holy the Lord's day. So Augustine of Hippo in the 4th and 5th century merged the 2 first commandments together, split the last commandment into 2, and shortened the Sabbath commandment to remember to keep holy the Lord's day. Bro changed the Bible. Where do we find the most accurate versions? So what I found out, I print a Douay and Rheims version of the Bible that has some great accuracies in it. I have access to and could print the Wycliffe Bible, but it reads so wackadoo that it just literally, I don't even feel like people getting it and going, man, I can't even read this. So the Wycliffe and the Douay and Rheims were completely controlled by the church. And then the Geneva Bible was so much earlier that nobody messed with it. However, King James used a lot of its translation in his version of the Bible. However, he did change some things about we should fear the governors and what have you. He changed some words in that in his version as he told the story. That's his version. So where is the most accurate versions? They're all over the place. Putting them together with historical facts, no matter what version of the Bible that you read, you need to know the historical facts that right here, the church, the Roman Catholic Church, and the Roman Empire, they changed the 10 Commandments right here. They merged 2 of them together, split the last 2, and changed the wording on the Sabbath to the day of the Lord. What about William Tyndale? He was great in I think he did like the New Testament at the same time Wycliffe, and you see some kind of like Wycliffe and Tyndale versions. Amazing versions of that too went into the King James. But those are all translations, and King James is a version of the Bible. But I don't want to get lost in that. I'm talking about Roman history, codexes that are written down and recorded in history, and when they change the 10 Commandments, you can see when the Bibles that are printed and what they say. So the Roman Catholic Church, when they started printing their Bibles in the 15th and 16th century, they literally had these commandments split up and changed thusly. And it started a long time ago. And it started gradually with them changing the Sabbath. What do you think's in charge right now? Who do you think's in charge right now? The Vatican, the Vatican and the Pope. I do not think, I'm going to go off subject for a second. I think the devil goes from person to person, walking to and fro in this earth. I think that at any given time, he can be inside of anybody. I do know that it describes the devil, for you are the cherished angel and you have been in the garden of God. It describes in the book of Ezekiel as talking about the king of Tyre. I know that it talks about the devil being in the king of Babylon. I know that throughout history, the devil was at the last table right with Judas, and Jesus told the devil, go into him and do what you must do quickly. So, bro is to and fro in the earth. And for him to step in, I'll get your cipher question, bless. For him to step into somebody's body and to inhabit it is mentioned throughout the Bible, is evident throughout history, and I don't know, man. I think that could be in different world leaders as necessary, and different people as necessary. I do know that when the rest of the dead lived again, and 1,000 years after the resurrection, that's Revelation 20, verse 5, and after the 1,000 years are finished, the rest of the dead yet live again. That's a crap ton of people, dead people to get out, servants of Satan. And that's what you see as the madness in this world. They go, we must be in the little season. You're like, oh, well, it could be the rest of the dead. Like a crap ton of them. Millions and millions and millions of them. I think he was let out for a little season. And I think that he directed them all so that when he gets released after the 2,000 years in the end of the second death, that he will go out and gather the nations, and they're going to make way for the kings, for them that are chained underneath the Euphrates. So pretty obvious what's going to happen. What about the cipher? I read the cipher, and they interjected a bunch of Yahweh and words and what have you, and it does read more correct to those words, but it says, that if you're going to speak a language, or if you're going to speak in tongues, that you should have a translator there. And Jesus was not, hey, this is Jesus. Jesus was the name of a sentence. It was like from my Father, or from above, or sent from heaven. And it's like David meant beloved. These names meant something. Greg means messenger and what have you. And just for somebody like Barabbas, the dude that was sacrificed, that was let go when Jesus was sacrificed, his first name was Jesus. He was Jesus Barabbas. So, they'll let the name Jesus be traumatized and tortured and given to murderers and thieves and stuff like that and named in the Bible. But like David, bro, they never let anybody be named David. You can go look that up. David was the only David in the Old Testament and the New Testament and in history during those times. There was never another David of Nova Scotia. Not happening. There's never another David or Solomon. So you can just tell you where the people that were running the show, nobody was ever named David. So that ought to tell you something right there. That ought to tell you. And you say, who's in charge? And you're like going, whoever was cool enough to keep David's name out of circulation forever during the writing of the Bible. I am so grateful for you and your wisdom, Greg. Thank you for everything that you do. Tracy, I certainly appreciate it. And it says, I got a little CYA going on this too. It says Ezekiel 33:3 says that when I see the sword fall upon the land, I blow the trumpet and warn the people. Well, 33:4 says that if you hear the trumpet and you don't pay attention, tough, it's you. It's all on you. But like 33:5 says that if I don't blow the trumpet and something happens to you, your blood is on my hands. And I'm like going, I'm going to tell you this. So, I sort of feel like I've been hired as a watchman. We got 194 people in the room. Thank you, Jesus. And, when I had 700,000 people in as my followers, I had 200 people in the room. That was it. Okay, so it doesn't matter about all of that is noise. If you've seen the movie F1, it's all just noise, man. 200 people right here learning that the actual day of the Sabbath is Saturday. Garden Tomb, Church, Holy Sepulchre. Church of the Holy Sepulchre is not the tomb, man. I got pictures in my Bible that show where they moved the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I can't. They moved the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Didn't move the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They put the Church of the Holy Sepulchre where the temple of Jupiter Venus was, and they put that on top of where the tomb of David was. It's in the back of this Bible. I will show you. Don't you touch. Get that off. All right, watch right here. My dad's old 1839 Bible, and this is before they could even figure out how to start lying good. They never knew the Dead Sea Scrolls were going to be found. And I'm going to show you right there. It says the Tomb of David. Right there, Tomb of David. Right next to the temple and right by that pool. You see that pool and then the Tomb of David, and then there's the temple. Watch this.
He just wants to say hi.
Hey, Bumblebee, come and give me a kiss and a love. Come give me the kiss and a hug and a love and a bumblebee kiss. Mwah. What happened to your face? Did you hurt my baby?
No, I just happened at school.
It happened at school. Hey, Dakota Angel, don't you hurt my angel no more. I'll give you a whopping a pop, okay? If you hurt my angel no more, I'll get you to whopping the pop. They can't hurt my... Shut the door for me if you want me. Sorry about that. I always stop for my grandchildren. That's the most important thing. Let me show you the picture now. Was Adam the first man created? I'll show you that right here. Now, this is the temple, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and then that pool. And there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And they call that modern Jerusalem. This is 1839 is when that is. But that was the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And before it was the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, it was the Tomb of David. That's all in that Bible that I make. All of those Bibles right there. It's literally right there. I'll show you. 12 pounds. That weighs 12 pounds. Oh, right at it. I know when you put the box and all that stuff and mail it, 12 pounds. These are all the maps, just like literally in the back of that Bible I copied. I took a picture of them. You can see where, there it is right there. I got it. There they are. They're all in the back of that huge Bible. That's what we made. Another one right there. Got all the pictures up. I'm gonna keep reading, and then we're gonna go take care of my grandkids right there. Who or what are the 44,000? Who and what are the 144,000? You know what? Go look up David and how many people he put army in charge of his army and all that stuff. And it was double that number, the exact double at 288,000. I got something to do with that, man. But they were all warriors and men of war. And he put all these people underneath them. And I just noticed that the number was exactly double the number of what Jesus has said his saints were. And it doesn't give a number, but in the book of Gad, it says that when he put when the graves rent and the rocks rent and the graves were opened and the bodies of many saints which slept arose and went into the holy city and were seen by many. That's Matthew 27:52. That's also in the book of Gad too. And it says it in the book of Ezekiel that he will open the sepulchres and open their graves, and he's going to put skin upon their bones and sinews connecting them. And there was a great commotion and all that came together. And then in Isaiah, it says the same thing too, man. So I don't know. I like to preach it to people that literally you can be Jewish or Muslim or whatever you want to, man. You can read Isaiah and Ezekiel tell you about that whole thing, and you should know about it. Aren't they the generals and the judges? They're way up the prophet list. I mean, if you're you got to ask yourself one question. Why did they put all those graves in front of the eastern gate? Because they think the boy can't come through. I didn't put that comment back. I'm trying to get to him. My wife said I had to be better and do better at my pinned comments. What's with the Memorial Church of the Holy Sepulchre in D.C.? A bunch of knuckleheads over there in D.C. They all got knuckles on their heads. They got a big obelisk. Know that Saturday is the Sabbath. They got the largest obelisk in the world, a dome, the apotheosis of George Washington, him ascending into heaven. Don't get me off subject with those. Those dudes, if you can rename an ocean to a gulf, if you can rename a gulf, you can like go, hey, you know what? We just found out that Constantine and the church changed this. We're going to change it back. I mean, now it's the Gulf of so-and-so. Now the Sabbath is Saturday. I don't know. You know who the generals and the judges are and the directors of the intelligence agencies and the governors and all those they are the rest of the dead. They were released in 1033. It says after the 1,000 years are finished, the rest of the dead yet live again. And that means that the rest of the dead got out of the grave in 1033 AD. Shut up. Says it in Revelation chapter 20, verse 5. And the rest of the dead, this is the first resurrection. That happened in 33 AD. 1,000 years later, the rest of the dead yet live again. Daggone, man, that's a barrel full of monkeys running around, causing all kinds of havoc. And if I had my way for 1,000 years while I was waiting for the Lord to come back, I would have turned around knowing my day was coming, and I'd be the Rothschilds, and I'd be the Houdinis, and I'd be whoever it was, man. I'd be the richest man in the world. I'd be Rocket Man. I'd be the first trillionaire. I said Elon might be the first trillionaire after they value and his stock goes public on SpaceX. Do you believe Jesus already returned in 70 AD or something that first off, I have to preface this, and I love you to death, and I'm not trying to lash back, but Jesus never left. People are trying to look for this millennial reign. When is he going to come back and reign with us for 1,000 years? It doesn't say that. It says in Revelation, it says they lived and reigned with him. Jesus never left, man. And was he there in 70 AD when Titus sacked Jerusalem? Guarantee you, man. Right there. Right there as he was in 33 AD when they crucified him and he quoted King David from the cross. It was like going, hey, man, my God, why have thou forsaken me? Y'all know that line? Yeah, well, you should. It's 1,000 years ago. It's King David, the 22nd Psalm, and y'all are piercing my hands and piercing my feet, but don't let me quote your own scripture to you. Ain't like we got Psalm 23. I love it. What was your question, Scoot? It's not, let's not biblically correct. Oh, well, let's see that. Let's not biblically correct, because we will be over the people that will be enduring the millennial. You know, sometimes I'm sorry I read some of these comments. The millennial reign is one that doesn't say that. And it says they lived and reigned with him 1,000 years, not the other way around. Not like he's coming back to reign with us for 1,000 years. He's not coming back. He never left. He popped in and out all the time. He literally knocked on my door 8 years ago, like going. We can know that, but that. Please, the Jesuits erased 300 years, plus the Jesuits erased 300 years. I don't even know how to put that together for you. You get people going, and it's 1,000 years. They added 1,000 years, and they took 1,000 years, and it's all different. And whatever. I guess you know what shape the Earth is. I do. Start that. Hey, let's see where they changed the Ten Commandments, and let's do that. Y'all want to do that? Where the Pope, would you think changing the Ten Commandments would be a cool thing to do? I don't. So if you downloaded the study guide, which you should go to my bio page, click on that right there, and then click on the study guide, which is going to be popping up right there. The Sabbath is Saturday, and we had this, went over the cover. We read the first page where it talks about how they changed that, doing this page, and now we're going to the third page. Ooh, right here. Step 4. The phrase the Lord's day. In Scripture, the day of the Lord, you know what? We just read that. In the Scripture, the day of the Lord refers to judgment, resurrection, and the return of Christ. In Isaiah, Joel, Amos, and Revelation, it says in the spirit of the Lord's day, and it does not name Sunday. The equation Lord's Day equals Sunday is a latter church interpretation and is not a biblical definition. So just know that Sunday is a creation by the church. Sunday being the Lord's Day. It says it right there. That they made the day of the Lord the venerable day of sun. Constantine changed it in 321. And then the church backed them up and said, we don't want Christians to Judaize it, but we want you to work on the Sabbath and not work on Sunday. So the church jumped on their little bandwagon and said, this is what we're going to do. And then the church officially altered the Ten Commandments and renumbered and changed them. So we read through that where they had merged in the first 2 commandments. We read all through how they had changed the numbering sequence of the Ten Commandments. And then they had changed it from the Sabbath to the venerable day of the Lord, to change it to the day of the Lord. And that's right there. It's on the... said, how do you teach Sunday? What was changed first? The wording was changed first, the numbering system, and the focus. Let me see. They merged the first 2 commandments. They split the last commandment into 2, and then they shortened the Sabbath commandment to remember to keep holy the Lord's day. So the Roman Catholic Church changed the 10 commandments, literally right there. Hey, Fly Hawk, what's going on? This is my new account. And we still got 160 people in the room. And I love that because I want them and y'all, that's a tighter group, man. I mean, whenever they took 700,000 people away, y'all know we'd have 200 people in the room, and literally half of them were just throwing in these comments were so off the wall and so misdirected and so off subject that the people that were in the room to learn were just like going, man, you're distracting. And now me and my wife and the moderators, we see a tighter group, a more focused group, and I find it better to know, hey, let me tell them the truth about the Sabbath. Let's know the truth about the Sabbath. Let's know what day it is. Let's know who changed it. The church changed it. Constantine changed it. And We're going to read this last day where the church literally changed the words in the Bible right here. By the medieval, the catechisms, the official teaching practice, this is what was happening. By the Middle Ages, the full Sabbath commandment was no longer quoted. It was the church taught to keep holy the Lord's day. And I'm reading right here. The authority for the change was claimed to be by the church itself and not in Scripture. This is where the functional change is completed in everyday Christian teaching. So the fourth step, this was a universal change by the Council of Trent. Council of Trent convened and to respond right here, and I'll move my head a little bit out of the way, to the Protestant Reformation, and then explicitly affirmed the church's authority over the Scripture's interpretation and standardized the documents and the doctrine and the teachings worldwide. And after Trent, the Roman Catechism officially presents to remember to keep the Lord's Day, and not the seventh day. This becomes a binding Catholic teaching. This is the point where the change is. It's official, it's universal, and it's unambiguous. And the modern Catholic confirmation, the modern Catholic Church openly states Sunday observance is based on church authority. The church transferred the Sabbath observance to Sunday. This is not hidden and it's not denied. All right? Now, I'm going to put my shirt back down, and if we need to answer any questions, I'll be glad to. But the church is the one that changed this, and I want you to know that when they changed this and made it official, they released their own version of the calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Does the Orthodox consider Sunday Sabbath? The Orthodox Jews consider Saturday to be the Sabbath, and the Roman Catholic Church's position, no matter what your position is in that, is that Sunday is the day of the Lord. And they haven't come back off of that whatsoever. So everybody's on Sunday. I just didn't want you in there Sunday going, hey, man, this is the Sabbath. No, it's not. You sound like those senators and politicians going, and everybody that honors Israel will be honored. It doesn't say that, man. Everybody that does this and backs these people, no. Someone said Sunday worship is part of the worshiping the beast. What do you think? I think that if you look at what it said in that thing right here, it said that many believers still kept the Sabbath, but some also gathered on Sunday to commemorate the resurrection, because that was the first day. That was when Jesus got out of the grave. And so on Sunday, so a lot of people kept that Sunday to commemorate the resurrection. And it's often cited, but it wasn't ever anything made official. So they were having, like, Sabbath was the holiday, and then this was the next day was the resurrection. And I think that's where a lot of people, then they sort of changed that up a little bit too. But you can see right there. And, what they follow the months and the moon and the observances of the moon, and their calendar is completely wackadoo. And they add a whole nother month every, 4 years or something. They're completely ruined. They have a 354-day calendar. And if you look in the Book of Jubilees, it says those will make observances of the moon in error by 10 days. Jewish people, Babylonian people, Muslim people, they all have a 354-day calendar. Calls them out in the Book of Jubilees, literally calls them straight out. And that was a Dead Sea Scroll, man. So it wasn't like somebody's going to say, and they made that book up into so-and-so. Shut up. If it's in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the first thing I got for you is, Did you say we could download Bible study? Yeah, you sure can. I said it 4,000 times. So that way, you have to, though, on a live when you got this many people. If you go to click on the trumpet right there, and that goes to my bio page, and then they just thank you. I just got 1,000 people, and as soon as I clicked over that number right there, they allow me to put my link tree up there, and that's where all my work is. And that is where all my work is. Where I hand make anything, all of this stuff, that is where my work is. And the study guide is that one. Sabbath is Saturday. It's right there. And what's going to pop up is that is going to pop up. And then right there, if you click on the top 3 dots and hit open in browser, then you can do whatever you want to with it. It's free. And you can alter it, you can change it, put your name on it, and then go teach a class with it, and then go tell people, hey, man, this is what I'm talking. Because I would rather have 200 people walking around telling somebody this than 750,000 people that didn't pay attention and are just walking around slinging their little newly found sword and hitting people. Go, oh, man, I'm sorry, I just got this thing. And I'd rather have 300 more focused warriors than 700,000 people slinging a new blade that they have no idea how to really use, man. You can probably hit somebody with that thing, and it's called friendly fire, and it's just like going, hey, man, yeah, dude, whoa, watch out. Yeah, be easy, bro. Easy with that sword. Because we're coming up on April, and we're coming up on Easter, and we're coming up on Passover, and I just want you to know. We'll put this. What we're coming up on. Bing. Right there. This is the calendar that I did off of the Book of Jubilees. You can see that the first month is spring. It starts right there. Day 0 is what's going to make 364 days work is 365. But you can see right there, the 14th day, which is Passover, that's April, and it's right when Easter is. And then that's the first Sabbath. April 2nd. April 3rd, 33 AD, terrible earthquake and an eclipse in Jerusalem. In 33 AD, there was an earthquake in Jerusalem and an eclipse. 33 AD, right when Jesus was crucified on that same day, April 3rd, the day after the Sabbath, the 14th day of the first month, which is Passover. It mentions that 1,000 times in the Bible. Ding dong. It's one observed are in Hebrew. The ones that do observe are Hebrew. Sabbath, yeah. If you're doing Saturday, you're doing it. You're doing the right thing. But, it ain't like you got to, hey, learn this and change your whole life or whatever, man. I just want you to know the truth. And, there's some certain things that you have to do, and not working is, and resting in Him, you can do it. You'll make it happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. No pun intended. That's only half of what I said. April 3rd is when Jesus was crucified, but when was He born? You can spend a couple. They say that kings were born and died on the same day. I've heard that before. Says that they were traveling to pay their taxes. And I know that at the end of the year, and the end of the harvest season, is when they collected their harvest in the winter and were able to account for their stuff. And I know that's the Feast of Tabernacles. And there was a big gathering there. So, I don't know. Could have been collecting taxes at the end of the year. But it's not like written in the Bible anywhere. You just sort of have to do deductions. And there's somebody that's going to argue with it. No matter what you say, there's somebody going to argue with it. So if I can't literally prove it in history or say it right out of the Bible, then I just have to tell you what was going on in the time period, and you use your own recommendation. He's 6 months younger than John, and we know John was born. You can go back through the priestly schedule and find out when you think John was born. But then again, they weren't celebrating the priestly schedule under the proper calendar. and they were using a derivative of the Babylonian calendar with their 12 months and their named months and their 354 days. So their whole thing was whack. So you don't know. And then in 150 BC, they added January and February to the names. Janus, the god that could look forward and back and all that. So how does one find the books taken out? The books taken out are obvious. In the Dead Sea Scrolls are what was found. The only books found in the Dead Sea Scroll that differed than the Old Testament was the Book of Jubilees and Enoch 1. Literally. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Psalms, Isaiah, all of them were in there. And they were right there in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And Jubilees, right there. Enoch 1, right there, man. I mean, if you're okay, we're reading the Hebrew Bible. In the Hebrew Bible, in Genesis 6, verse 4, it has two sentences that says that the angels came and descended onto the women and made giants, and that's the reason God flooded the earth. And if you're cool with a 2-sentence description on why the earth was destroyed, then cool. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the Book of Enoch 1, it'll tell you who did it, why they did it, what they did, what they thought they were doing, and what happened as a result of that. Jesus, too, is our Sabbath. Jesus is the Sabbath, yep. He is their Sabbath, and you just being in him is a good thing. That's why I'm saying don't focus on a lot of this, hey, you have to do this and this ritual and this day and all that stuff. It says rest on the Sabbath, and I just wanted you to know that God rested on the Sabbath after he created the earth. And I want you to know who changed that day to Sunday. It literally is a time and a day and an exact period in history when the Romans changed the date and the time. And they changed the wording in the Bible and the Ten Commandments. And I just think you're a double. Enoch 2 through 3, I think Enoch 2 through 5 were added just to throw an ambiguity to Enoch, the book of Enoch, because as soon as you start reading chapter 2, and by the way, at the end of Enoch 1, it says the end. So then they pick up on it. And it's almost like if I were, the way it's written, it would be like the way somebody talks in the 70s and then somebody wrote 2 through 8 the way they talk in the 80s. And you could be far out, wow, man, and then all of a sudden they're talking in a different language. And you can just sort of see they start talking about Noah's eyes glowing and him lighting up the room, and you're just like going, that's all crap. And all Scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching and rebuking. And right about the time you start reading Enoch 2, I can teach you a thing or two about that didn't happen, and that just sounds weird, and you should use your spirit. But Enoch 1 and only Enoch 1 and it's only 35 pages, so they had to add something to it just to have something more than a flyer to print. What do you think the Jews are considered the chosen people when they don't believe? It doesn't say that. It says that their stuff was stripped away from them and that all of those dudes are going to know that I am the Lord thy God when all of these things start to happen. And, they saw the resurrection of Jesus Christ. They saw the crucifixion of it, but you can't prove that to them. You can't read that in the Old Testament. But it does say in the book of Ezekiel and the book of Isaiah, when these things start to happen, you should do this and this. When I put skin upon the bones and I do this. And they didn't follow that. One, because they didn't know the Scriptures. And Jesus proved to them that they didn't know the Scriptures. I mean, one of the biggest things that Jesus proved to the Pharisees that they didn't read the Scriptures. And I'll pull the same test with y'all too. So me resting on in Jesus daily for a time is me keeping the Sabbath. I don't want to give you an answer to that. I'm not the judge of that. I rest in Jesus daily. I get on my knees and pray to him daily. I work in him daily. And, am I supposed to rest from what I'm doing which is preaching, on the Sabbath? And Jesus walked into the temple and preached on the Sabbath. So that's what I do, and I do it all the time. So me and you doing it all the time sounds like we're doing it together. But it does. I just want you to know it was enough so that the Romans had to change it, and they visibly changed it, and it's changed in the laws, and it's written down when and where they changed it, and what they changed in the Bible. So it's not like, hey, this is what I'm preaching to you today, and this is some crap that I heard. Literally, you can go back into the laws and see exactly when they changed the Bible, what they changed in it, how they changed the wording of the Ten Commandments to take out the wording of the Sabbath and call it the day of the Lord. And it was intentional, and I think that they suck for doing it. But you know what? Every dog's got their day. Should we consider the Apocrypha as part of the canon? I'll tell you what I'd consider. That Bible that I print is the Apocrypha version of the Bible, and I did it for a reason. The Apocrypha is the printed version of the Bible that the church wanted you to know. I told you, if you want to find out the fastest things that the church changed, is read what they've got printed out and then compare it to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And all of the stuff that they want you to know and they added into the Apocrypha, you should compare it to the Dead Sea Scrolls and see the difference in how it's written there. And I have built a life out of TikTok of pointing out how those things differ. And the Dead Sea Scrolls busted them out in the Book of Jubilees. We went down a whole year's worth of study where the Book of Jubilees clearly tells Jacob, the angel tells him, do not build this place. And ironically, those are the words that are missing out of the same story in the Book of Genesis when Jacob built his pillar. Says, thou shalt not build a pillar which the Lord thy God hates. And then he anointed that pillar, which, by the way, when you anoint something, that word is Messiah. And in Greek, when you anoint something, that word is Christ. So when David was anointed, he was the Messiah and the Christ. And when Jacob anointed the stone pillar, he made that image the Messiah, and he raised a pillar or an image, and he anointed it as the Messiah. And the angel of the Lord told him in the Book of Jubilees, do not build this place. Does anyone know what Romans 14:5 means? We'll look it right up. Does anyone know? Romans 14:5. I don't know it fast enough to quote it and then tell you what it means. I'm not one of them dudes. Pin it. Romans 14:5. One man esteemeth one day above another. Another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Yeah. You know, without reading the context of that, let every man be persuaded of his own mind. That's exactly what. If you got somebody that's on your flat earth and they're flat earthers, or you got somebody that, hey, this is definitely the shape of the earth, or this is so-and-so, you put new wine into an old wineskin, you'll ruin the wineskin and you'll ruin the wine. That's Mark 2:22. So you can't try to wedge something into something that won't fit. You know, if you go over and Jill's father, Pentecostal preacher, man, and anytime that, you know, I find something new in the Bible, I don't run over there and go, hey, man, you got to change everything and you got to quit preaching on Sunday and you got to change the Sabbath. You put new wine in an old wineskin, and it's an old wineskin. Bro's in there, man. He's talking to people and they go in there and he's nothing but good, man. And he's an old wineskin, and that's cool as a cucumber, man. He's got his stuff lined up. I'm not going to be the one that walks in there and tries to put some new wine into that wineskin, because you'll ruin the wine and you'll ruin the wineskin. So just keep that in mind. Wasn't King James into demonology? He wrote a book about demonology, and his mother, well, I don't know about the mother thing, had a very strange life. I understand he was a gay Mason, a couple of different things. But these are all writings, and you can always hear different stories and controversial stories. He was not amazing. He was whatever. But he did write a book called The Demonology. And it was before, I think, He read, and people will Google it and they go, it was him exposing the demons and all that stuff. And you're like going, that's what Google just told you to say. And so you read the first paragraph and the first thing that Google told you to say. And I had a guy, he had a bunch dead hidden, man. And he responded to that. And I was like going, bro, I printed that book out. It was only like 50 or 60 pages. I printed that book out and then, I printed that book out and then I read it. And I was like, it was not him exposing stuff. It was literally him telling the process of it. And, that's like reading chat and trusting chat. Did you taste where my earphones were? Dad's earphone. Is the Ethiopian Bible a better Bible than reading King James? The Ethiopian Bible is it is a collection of every work ever put together. It's got Enoch 2 through 5, and if you want to read it and not do any of the research and history on their factuality and if they were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that is a good book that can take you down every lost rabbit hole with no end. If you're not smart enough to read and go, this was in the Dead Sea Scrolls and this wasn't. The book of Jubilees is in there. But when it says the book of Jasher, it doesn't have all the books. I've got the Ethiopian Bible. It says it's got 800 books in it, and it doesn't. It's got a big barcode inside of it, and it'll tell you the books that are listed. They're not all in there. You got to go scan some barcode, and you're looking at them online, man. That's all there is to it. I've heard there's a book of Mary Magdalene. There is a book of Mary Magdalene. It's called the New Testament Apocrypha. There is the Protevangelium of James. That's New Testament Apocrypha. It lists those, but there are so many people that can destroy those with no, those are creations for the church and they were written after the time. Yeah, they weren't found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were written during the same time. I think that they're all useful for reading and teaching and learning. And some of the ones that I've read, they don't have anything bad in them. So I don't. I bought a Septuagint Bible, but it has no New Testament. That's because the Septuagint is what Jesus carried around, and they were creating the New Testament. They were creating that while that Septuagint, so they wouldn't have coexisted. It's like the Old Testament and the New Testament. King James is the one that put them together. The Jewish people are like going, they're separate things. Who? Where'd you go? But are you still doing the Bible giveaway? We are. We just got to get our traction back up. I had to get my link tree back going and all. People couldn't download the big give. And it was it turned into a big mess when they got rid of all my people, but I got a great crowd back on there. This was the first day that I could produce my PDFs on my link trees and these lessons. So yeah, we're getting ready to take back off on our great learning thing. And we've had some people donate money to buy Bibles for people. And we are going to be following through with that. There are some of our big followers and moderators on here that have purchased Bibles for people for us to give to them. And it is a big deal. I do notice I went to the mailbox yesterday and there was not one postcard in there. And there wasn't one postcard in there. And this is just the last batch that I got right before they canceled 700,000 followers off of me. So we're putting all that back together. I'm so blessed. I've got over 1,000 followers now, and I can put my link tree back up. So we'll get all the big give together. We're going to start giving away some cool things. And it's not all about just giving things away, man. I want y'all to know the truth. I want y'all to print out this logic that's on there. Do you recommend reading the Septuagint? If so, which one do you recommend? I didn't. I would recommend reading the Book of Jubilees. If you're going to read something, read the Book of Jubilees. And if you want to read an action-adventure novel, read the Book of Jasher. And that'll blow your hair off. Blow your hair off. But read the Book of Jubilees. If you want to read the truth, you want to hear the very first sentence and the very first verse will nail it down for you. Was written by God, given to Moses to teach the people with. So, You know, it tells you a perfect calendar and all of those things. It's right there for you. Do you have a live schedule? I am going to start putting more focus on going lives on Saturday. And then on some of the other formats, I think I'm going to go live. But I just love going live during the week. So we had a Wednesday thing going on all last year, and every Wednesday we went live. And I think I want to go live on the Sabbath because I honor the Sabbath and I work on the Sabbath, you know, for this. And I just literally rest in the Sabbath. And I'm going to spend it with you. Jesus taught on the Sabbath, and I'm going to teach on the Sabbath, man. And if y'all are looking for that map of time, I saw something on Amazon. Amazon is good for the map of time. The Book of Jubilees and the Book of Enoch, those are all in the Codex. And the Codex is, a Codex is when you take scrolls, when they first took scrolls and bound them together, that was called a codex. And that codex has Jubilees, Jasher, Enoch 1, Gad, the Gospel of Nicodemus. Now, that's pretty cool. That codex is pretty cool. And then the Bible itself has the Apocrypha. That's a big 12-pound parchment Apocrypha Bible. But go get you one of them study guides. Download the study guide right there off of my link tree. That's one of the things you can do. It's the drop. And it'll tell you right when the church and the Romans changed Sunday to be the Sabbath, and they took away Saturday Sabbath. Mark your calendar, Sabbath, Saturday live, 10 a.m. I love it. I love it. We're going to start doing that, and I really do like resting on the Sabbath with y'all, and we're going to start popping up on some of the other formats during the week and going live. It's just a whole new audience. I'm so very blessed that Jesus, and that they took away the 700,000 followers, because now it boiled down to a couple of hundred people that really wanted to hear this message and wanted to hear the truth, and they know that I'm going to do the study guides and print the verses that we're going to teach off of. So yeah, I'm very blessed for that. That's a much stronger organization, having 300 focused people. You can just ask Gideon. That's what defeated the millions of the Midianites, by having 300 focused warriors. And when he asked God for help, he had 20,000 people. And God said, if I'm going to do this and we're really going to make a difference, you got way too many people on the field. So you don't need more people to be godly. You need a lot less, and they need to be focused. And they need to drink water like a dog and never take their eye off of the target. And that's what we need. We need people that are drinking water like a dog and know the truth and know that the church was changing the dates, and the Romans changed the dates. So don't be fooled by them. Go back into history, download the study guide, find the exact year in the day in 321 when Constantine changed the Sunday law of Sabbath. And when the church backed it up and said, hey, don't be too Judaist, and you work on the Sabbath. So just know that was the church and the Constantine working against you. How do I find the book, The Drop? Oh, I'm going to tell you real quick before I go. If you go to my bio page, which is going to be right here. Go to my bio page, click on the trumpet right there, and then that link tree pops up, and then click on that link tree, and that'll pop up, and it's that one right there. And then click on that. And what'll pop up is this. Will pop up, The Drop, and then click the three dots at the top, and it'll say open in browser, and then you can do whatever you want to, and it'll open up this nice clean copy, and then you can do your own thing. And there's a copy of that first calendar. That's Jubilee calendar. And then you can see all these dates when they changed it. Go do that right now. I'm going to go in there, play with the grandkids, because it's my day of rest. And I wanted y'all to know when the day of rest is. So I love y'all. Thank you for the support. Go download the drop so that y'all can see when this is. And we'll plan another lesson for next week. I love y'all. And in Jesus' name, y'all have a blessed day. Touch the button.